Hey guys, it's Beauty Queen and today we're going to be doing 14 and Pregnant with Twins, my story. Let's get straight into it. So this is going to be the full truth. When I first got pregnant, me and this guy made a lie. We're going to change the name so people who know me personally will know who it is. But I want the truth to come out, and what no better way than on my channel. So it all started beginning of 2018. I started dating this guy. We're gonna call him Ben. And Ben was using me, so we're just gonna get that straight out of the way. But Ben had a brother who we're gonna call Jacob. And when me and Ben broke up, I went and got together with Jacob in pain. I don't know what was going through my mind. I've never dated brothers before and I will never do this again. I've definitely learned from this, but I really was in a bad place, so I just went straight to Jacob. I don't know why. So we'll go to March 2018. Me and Jacob had been dating since the end of January. So, February, whatever it was. But basically, we were fooling around a lot because teenagers. And there was definitely an age gap, guys. And basically what happened was I got really sick at one point. And at this time, I didn't know that this was actually me, early stage pregnancy. But it was close to when I was like, oh, okay, let's take a pregnancy test because me and him were not doing safe sex. We really should have been. I think I might have been on birth control on and off. I don't remember that well, but I've been on and off birth control since I was a little kid, so I could have been on and off birth control, but I don't think I was taking it correctly at this time. Stupid, but there wasn't condoms involved. I mean, pretty sure if I was on birth control there, I must have skipped a day or something, because I do sometimes forget, because I lose it a lot. Now, after getting pregnant and I went back onto birth control, I literally started taking it properly. I did not want anything like this to happen again, and hasn't happened since. And I took a pregnancy test, and he was there, and it came back immediately positive. And I'm like, okay. At that time, I know my mum was going to support me, but I didn't want to tell her just in case it was a false positive. I know they're very rare, but you never know. False negatives are more likely, but at that point, I was scared that it was going to be false positive. So I went to family planning in my town, and I did a pregnancy test, and they said it came back negative. So I immediately thought, oh, maybe I was right, maybe it was a false positive and I'm just sick. So I just went about my time. I told him, oh, they came back negative, so I must not pregnant. He's like, sweet, who cares? So I was like, okay, sweet as, go separate here to go home. I went home, and and at this point, he was staying at my house a lot, okay? So, fast forward to April 1st, and April Fool's Day, and the family plan gave me, a test to take if I missed my period. And it was the day of my period, and I didn't have any of my period symptoms whatsoever. So, you know what, I'm just going to take it. And it came back positive, literally. I did it, and it came back positive immediately. And this is the test, and if you don't know what I mean, there's a test that here in New Zealand you do at the doctors where it's a strip and dip. Yeah, it's one of them. It's not clear blue or anything. It was a proper one that the hospitals and the doctors use before doing bloods. So this is meant to be really high up. And that was positive, so I showed my mum, and she got me 2 other tests, a first response. Was it first response or prognosis? I think it might have been prognosis, and if the prognosis came back positive, she's going to get me a clear blue. So the 2nd of April, I woke up with this was all with my first morning urine, and I think this is where I got the false negative, was I went into family planning like 2 o'clock in the afternoon, and I'd been like going to a lot, so it wasn't first morning urine. So first morning urine for the 1st, 2nd and 3rd, because the 2nd day I'm pretty sure I was prognosis actually. I have the pregnancy test somewhere, but I don't know what they are at the moment because we just moved houses. And it came up immediately positive, just like the first one. Like I showed Mum, she's like, okay, we'll get you clear blue. She got me clear blue digital, the ones with the plus though. And I took it and immediately came, and this was on the 3rd day, so 3rd of April, and it came up positive again. I'm like, Mum, these are all getting darker. Like these are 3 positives. And she's like, okay, we'll take you to the doctors. Because at this point, I'm pretty sure it's getting close to the weekend. Like I don't have anything on me, so I can actually see the dates. See if it was like what day it was. But the next day, I think it was a Monday, we went into the doctors and I like told her about the 3 positives, and she's like, okay, well let's get you bloods drawn. So we get my bloods drawn, and they're high up, and I'm like, okay, so I'm pregnant. I'm like, okay. I wasn't shocked, because I had already gotten that first one, so the shock had already worn off. But I was concerned because I was 14. I was underage in New Zealand, and I was really scared. And the guy was legally an adult. He wasn't like past 20. Like he was 19. So I mean, now looking back, I know that was stupid. But he was turned 20, and I know it was stupid to do that. But I was 14. I was going through a really rough time. And I know that's no excuse, and I do now practice. I don't even have sex anymore. Let's be honest. I gave up with that sort of stuff after a while because I got so scared that it was going to happen again. And I wasn't ready to go through the experience again. So, me and him, when it came back, I started taking prenatals and stuff. And me and him made up the lie for the original video, which was that I went to a party and hooked up with a guy when drunk, and he'd forgiven me, and I fell pregnant. Which was definitely a lie, because I was pregnant to my boyfriend. And I then... Okay. So, basically, I go to my first midwife appointment. We say we don't know who the father is because I'm protecting his ass, which at the time I thought I was in love. But now I know that wasn't love, but at that time, puppy love. It wasn't real love, and it was so stupid to even... Yeah, I should have just told the truth from the beginning. And, a lot of our friends knew the truth. It was just, I didn't want, the whole of the world to know the truth, if you know what I mean. And then... Also, that video is not on my channel anymore, so you can't find it, because I didn't want the lies to be on my channel. Because I try and be as truthful as possible on my channel, because I don't like to lie. And basically the next thing, we go to my midwife, and I messaged her one night because I started bleeding, and it's getting close to 8-week scan. So my 8-week scan was scheduled for 7 weeks, 6 days. So the day before I turned 8 weeks. So it was the day before, and that was just the closest appointment they had. So I started bleeding a little bit. I text her going, okay, this is a bit weird. And she goes, oh no, it's okay. Don't worry about it. I'm like, okay. I know from my mum that, my mum's had multiple miscarriages. So she told me, if I wasn't bleeding enough to be a miscarriage, but we couldn't rule that out. And I was just, trying to stay as positive as possible, because for those who don't know, I have very low chances of ever getting pregnant again. And at this point in time, I didn't even know I could get pregnant. So, this wasn't my miracle baby. And at this point, we're thinking 1, but I was already getting a bump, and I was 6 weeks, and I was already getting a bump. And this wasn't bloat, this was actual bump. I could, when with bloat, if you squeeze in, bloat goes, skinny. I couldn't pull this in. This was not, any sort of bloat I've ever had, ever. With my bloat, I'm bloated now, but if I, squeeze in, bloat, squeezes in, where a bump doesn't. And I was getting a bump, and I was like, okay, this is a bit weird. So then when we went to my appointment, I was still bleeding a little bit, but it wasn't a lot. Like, it wasn't enough to be miscarriage bleeding, you know. We went in, and I had all my, like, my close friends and family, and at this point, me and him had actually broken up. He had told his parents, and they basically didn't like it, and they wanted us to break up because of it being illegal, and, like, so we broke up, and so it was me, my grandma, a couple of my, like, two of my closest friends, and me, obviously, in the room, and they do the ultrasound wand, and they go, okay, can everyone get out? Other than me and my support person, which was my mum. My mum was my main support person. And they go, we can't see any visible pregnancies, so we're going to have to, with your consent, do an internal ultrasound. I'm like, yeah, sweet, like, whatever, because it was early. Like, I was 8 weeks the next day, so I knew it was, like, eek. So, but on the main ultrasound, you could see 2 sacs, but apparently there wasn't anything in them. So they did the internal, and they saw that the sacs were empty, and they basically, he got the nurse to bring in my blood test from the beginning to make sure that it was a viable pregnancy when I got it drawn. And I was like 4 weeks or something when I got the doctor. No, I think I was 5 weeks, 4 or 5 weeks when I went to the doctors. So it wasn't long after I'd gone to the doctors. And he came back and said, well, we're going to have to get you to go back and get bloods drawn because we want to see if your, like, levels have dropped. I'm like, okay. And I told my midwife this, and she was like, she didn't respond for, like, a day. And then she told me just to go to my doctor, I think it was. I don't even have those texts anymore. But basically, a couple of days before I went, I didn't feel right either. Like, I just didn't... All my symptoms were gone, and I was freaking out, but I was trying to stay as positive as possible. And so, I didn't actually go get my bloods drawn. I couldn't be bothered. Like, I was trying to let it sink in my own way, and I basically knew already when he said that there's no point even doing it, because I basically knew that I had miscarried. And I kept bleeding throughout for a couple, 2 weeks after that appointment. So I'd been bleeding maybe a month in total. Then I stopped bleeding, and my period took a while to come back. But no, it wasn't a month. It was I've been bleeding 3 weeks. Something stupid. 2 or 3 weeks at that point. And I called him that night and said him and his mum, because she wanted to know as well, and I'm like, hey, didn't see a baby, I miscarried, blah, blah, and I'm like, okay. So then, there was no, charges pressed against him or anything. Child Services did get involved, because I made it public, and Child Services had actually called my mum to find out the full story, and we told them the truth. We didn't lie to Child Services, we told them the truth. And they're like, okay, well, we're not going to press charges on you or him, and I know that they said we can't press charges on him anyway unless your family or you, her and her family, press charges against him. And we didn't go through all that. I didn't care for that. I lied to protect his ass. Why would I go through and do that anyway? So that just was it was nice to be pregnant and know that I could get pregnant. And then after that, after I miscarried, I went straight on to birth control, and I started taking it properly. Don't worry, guys, safe sex. And I am a big advocate for safe sex after that whole experience. But yes, that was my 14 and pregnant with twins story. Something to take away from that story is practice safe sex, or don't have sex at all. Because even safe sex, I know people who have practiced safe sex and still gone pregnant. So if you really, really think in your mind that you have to have sex, do it with condoms, some sort of birth control as well, like have double protection, or don't have sex at all. Like seriously guys, you don't want to be 14 and pregnant, you don't want to be 15 pregnant, 13 pregnant, you know, you don't want to be pregnant as a teenager. I know my mum was a teenager and when she was pregnant with me, so I know it can be happening and you can have a good life, but just don't do it. And what else? I think that's it. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe to my channel if you want more pregnancy related videos. In memory of my twins that passed away, I did start a young mum series on my channel where I talk about how to reduce morning sickness symptoms and back pain symptoms and heartburn symptoms, how to tell your parents, baby must-haves, pregnancy must-haves, just like tips and tricks to help cope through the symptoms and the feelings of pregnancy without medical advice. So if you want to check that out, I'll link it up in the cards up there or on the end screens, which will follow in a minute. And yes, I do have comments turned off for all my pregnancy related video, like my pregnancy related videos for the Young Mum series and this one, just for the hate. I don't want other pregnant mums or young mums or anyone to go through comments and see hate, because I know there is a lot of hate. So I've just turned those off as a security measure. But yes, thank you for watching, and I'll see you guys tomorrow for more videos, because I update daily at 1 p.m. Bye!